Imagine the logistical dilemma of gathering hundreds of thousands of people in one place. Without a system to manage resources and resolve disputes, massive populations quickly collapse into chaos. Early societies prevented this collapse by developing shared rules and agreed-upon norms. This system of social organization and control is the basic definition of a state. How the diverse Indian subcontinent first engineered this massive social leap is a puzzle that stretches back thousands of years. To find the origin of Indian governance, we have to examine the earliest surviving records of the region's social and political life. This is the Sapta Sindhu region in northwestern India. Following the decline of the Indus Valley civilization, this landscape became home to the early Vedic people. The Rig Veda, composed in this region, serves as the primary evidence for this era. It is a direct window into how these early communities actually organized their world. These texts describe a society organized into janas, or clans. In this system, your safety and your identity were defined strictly by your blood relations. One of the most prominent of these kinship groups was the Bharata Jana, from which the name Bharata originates. An early king, known as a Raja, led a family network rather than a piece of land. In this era, governance was entirely a matter of tribal relations. It is easy to assume that these early tribal leaders held absolute dictatorial power. However, the Rig Veda describes a system with built-in checks and balances. Power was shared with three distinct institutional assemblies: the Sabhā, the Samiti, and the Vidhata. These groups had specific roles. The Sabhā acted as a small judicial body of elites, while the Samiti was a larger gathering where the broader community debated policy and warfare. This suggests that India's earliest political frameworks were structurally designed to include community participation and consensus. Between 1000 BCE and 600 BCE, a boom in agricultural production forced these wandering populations to settle in one place to tend their crops. This settled lifestyle caused a shift from Jana, the kinship clan, to Janapada, the territorial state. The term Janapada literally means where a people first set its feet. Identity was now rooted in the land. For the first time, who you were depended on where you lived. As control over land and trade routes became the ultimate prize, the scale and complexity of governance increased to a level the old tribal systems could no longer handle. Smaller territories eventually consolidated into 16 massive political units, known as Mahājanapadas. These silver punch-marked coins provide evidence of the massive new economic engines required to run these states, like Magadha, which used its fertile geography to build the foundation for the Mauryan Empire. This drive toward larger territorial states was a subcontinental phenomenon, appearing simultaneously in the river valleys of the south. In peninsular India, the Chola, Chera, and Pandya kingdoms emerged. They used distinct royal emblems, the tiger, the bow, and the fish, as markers of their territorial branding. Our understanding of these southern kingdoms comes from Sangam literature, an ancient Tamil tradition that provides a detailed record of their early administrative life. By this point, complex, institutionalized states had successfully organized massive populations across the entire subcontinent. By 1000 CE, the small wandering kinship clans of the early Vedas had been replaced by sprawling, multi-layered regional networks. Mature regional empires like the Guptas and the Cholas utilized vast administrative systems to build monuments of this scale. They required immense resource extraction and specialized labor organization. Maintaining order across millions of citizens required more than just military force. It required a shared mental framework of how society should function. Imperial staying power ultimately relied on establishing deep, universally accepted social rules that could outlast any single ruler. Specific dynasties and shifting borders eventually faded, but they left behind a resilient cultural framework. This legacy was an operating system for society, a collection of literature, shared social norms, and institutional models that remained even after the empires collapsed. By adopting the same governing ideals, like the moral principle of Dharma and the vision of a pan-Indian monarch, these separate states began to function as part of a single political landscape. This shared blueprint unified a diverse geography, forging a foundational identity that survives to this day.